I just do the good old fashioned, I look at the clock when I start working on something, and I look at the clock again when I stop working on it, and that's how I time track. I can see that you're a little
On
like
edge.
I don't track these things. Sorry, Shay.
I'll just go die quietly inside later. Welcome to Freelance Life, and in this series we are talking about the tools that we use to make our lives easier. So today we're going to talk about time tracking, managing it, how we track it, occasionally how we lose it, and we're going to share the apps and systems that actually help us to get things done and record that we're doing them. So if you're the kind of person who has no idea how long a task takes you, time tracking is probably a good place to start. So there's a number of time tracking tools out there, and I think they're pretty much one and the same. And most of them come with free versions. So the one I use personally is called Toggle Track. For clients, there's another one I use called Clockify. To be honest, both of them very similar functionality, and both are free, which is awesome. I don't actually know as a freelancer why you would need to upgrade. I find personally the reporting that I get and the functionality that I get in the free versions is perfect. Maybe if you need to do some collaboration, you would need to upgrade. I haven't even looked into what the upgrades involve because, I haven't needed to. And time tracking is something that I would say has definitely transformed my business because it helps keep me, firstly, it keeps me on track. So when you've got a time tracker running and you think, oh, let me just quickly, you think, oh, it's not really worth it because then I'm going to have to pause my tracker and start my tracker again. So that's one thing. Now, I mean, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you'll know that I don't bill hourly, or I try to avoid it wherever possible. So the reason I'm time tracking is not to be able to show a client exactly how much time I've spent on a task. The reason I'm time tracking is so I know and I can manage my own time because, surprise, I love calendar blocking, and calendar blocking involves knowing how long something's going to take you. So when I've got that, I'm able to see, okay, in general, this kind of blog takes me 2 hours. I know to put 2 hours aside in my calendar. Another thing that I use my time tracking for is I like to see how I'm doing profitability wise with my clients. So I tend to bill by the project. So I've billed X amount for my project. What does that mean I'm getting per hour? Because I like, even though I don't bill by the hour, I like to use an hourly rate as kind of a gauge on where I want to be and setting my goals. And that's why I use my calculator to work out what that should look like. So that also helps me at the end of the year. I do a big check to see, but I also on a project by project basis or month by month, if I feel like I might be selling myself short somewhere, my tracker actually gives me that information. Oh, one more thing I use it for is my invoicing. So, I don't know about you, but I don't always invoice straight after a project. Sometimes the client only wants to be invoiced at the end of the month, whatever. So then what I do at the end of every month is I go through my time tracker report, and often I'll be like, oh, geez, I nearly forgot about this small job that I did for so-and-so. Let me make sure that I invoice for it. So needless to say, I am a huge fan of time tracking, and I know you have something to say about it. So go for it.
So I know we've chatted about time blocking and that kind of thing as well, and we both do time blocking. You are a lot more strict than I am about the time blocking. So for the time blocking itself is obviously just the calendar, the Google Calendar or the Outlook calendar or whatever you use. Um, Time tracking itself, as in like it took me X amount of time to do this. I tend to just look at my clock because I feel like you have to work with the tools that work for you. And I've tried several different tools and nothing works because those like Clockify's, you have to remember to press start and stop. And I found when I was doing Clockify, I would press start and I would come back to my desk, and then it would say that had taken me like 36 hours to write them because I'd forgotten to press stop. So that was pointless. I then found a software, an AI-driven software called Rise, Rize. And that one it's got like a free trial for I think a week. And then you have to pay, and it was quite pricey. It's like a year subscription. But what was quite nice with that one is that it takes a while to set everything up, but then it basically time tracks you based on what screens you have open, what browsers, what websites you're on, what emails you have open, etc. It's very intuitive. So you can the way you set it up was if I have XYZ open on my computer, it means I'm working for this client. And then if you open any of those apps together with each other, it knows and it will automatically time track that for you. It also had this really annoying pop-up block that said you're getting distracted if you went onto YouTube, for example. And so that's where it started falling apart for me because well, yeah, I'm not going to go into my YouTube addiction again. But I spent a lot of time on YouTube and I kept getting this really annoying. So I started disabling the pop-ups and then I stopped looking at the analytics as well. So I was paying for this thing. It was auto tracking what I was doing, not sending me any notifications. And then the analytics side of it was pointless as well. So I just do the good old fashioned, I look at the clock when I start working on something and I look at the clock again when I stop working on it, and that's how I time track. So
How do you
yeah,
record it or
very
remember?
manual.
Do you write it down ever, or is it just more of like you using it as a benchmark, an idea?
It's more of a benchmark. I don't record. I record very little, besides this podcast. So yeah, if you ask me like profitability or any of the things that you mentioned, I can't give you like, well, this client is more profitable than this one because I spend X amount of time and this is the profit margin versus this client. I don't have those kind of stats, and I don't. I, I'm sure that you would, and my business coach as well would really disagree with me. But I don't see the point in tracking those things. I don't think it really makes any difference to me because I'm going to deliver the same type of service to both clients. So yeah, you can tell me I'm wrong, but yeah, like I say, you have to work with. I'm not really time driven, so you have to work with the tools that work for you, and it's the same as capturing stuff in a spreadsheet. I'm probably not going to do it like my cash flow, which I haven't done for months. So yeah, listen to the previous episode about automating your accounting. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably a really weird thing for you, and I can see that you're a little
On
antsy. Like
edge.
I don't track these things. Sorry, Shay.
Oh, it's fine. I'll just go die quietly inside later. But no, I agree. You've got to do what works for you. For me, on the profitability side, it's more so I can see, am I underquoting or am I overquoting, or do I really want to keep this client? Yeah. So look, you do
Hmm.
you. And I think that's
I
important. And
work.
that's why we freelancers, because there's no one telling us you have to use
Yeah.
a time tracker or you have to do something a certain way. And yeah, so I'm going to bite my tongue and I'm going to say, I love that for you. Everyone else, please look at Toggle, Clockify, or whatever else.
So I'm going to throw a little curveball to you because I
Mm.
have this problem with one client where I do some time tracked stuff. So, like strategy hours are tracked. And I can't, I mean, if they want me to use Clockify, I'll make the effort, but I've managed to avoid it up until now. But my point with Clockify and those kind of things is I don't allocate time to think about this specific project. My brain is always working in the background. And so sometimes I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I can't get back to sleep. And while I'm rolling around, I'm thinking about this bloody project. So now, are those billable hours or not? I haven't clockified them, but I am still working on your project at that time. So how would you measure that? Because a lot of people want a hard and fast, we want to see your time tracked and all that kind of thing. I actually worked for a client that if you didn't time track, they didn't pay you. So I need just to say I don't work with them anymore. But yeah, how do you bill for those kind of things that you can't really time track because it's outside of working hours? It's not something that you can schedule. Sometimes you have like a weird idea in the shower. I'm not going to time track like for 5 minutes. I'm going to kind of make a best guess estimate um, when I look at the strategy hours that I do.
Yeah, so it's not a perfect science. And so the way I get around that is by really trying my damnedest not to charge hourly for anything. And I don't think I actually do at the moment. So yeah, look, those bonus hours that I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning or in the shower thinking about your work, whatever, that's part of my project fee. It's all built in. The time tracking is for me, not for the client. That being said, I do know, like, someone was just telling me about a lawyer friend who, if they're thinking in the shower, they'll go back to their desk and put in those 2 minutes they were thinking in the shower. But then again, they do charge by the hour, and they do charge a lot of money by the hour. So that 2 minutes probably actually does mean something. So yeah, for me, it's not an issue because I'm not tracking time for the client. I'm tracking the time for me. And yes, I mean, we're freelancers. We never switch off our work brains. So yeah, I certainly don't want to be sitting there logging in and logging out. Like, I don't have the app on my cell phone.
Okay.
So it's only when I'm doing work on my laptop at my desk that I'm actually just going to track the time towards it. And yeah, it's not perfect, it's not exact, but it gives me a good indication.
Okay, cool. We want to know from you. Do you time track? Do you guesstimate? Do you have to time track? Otherwise, you don't get paid. What do you use to track your time? Pop it in the comments. Let us know, and we will see you in the next episode.